Good evening and welcome to the PSGL Season 29 F13. We are at the Suzuka circuit in Japan for round 11 of the championship. I'm Tom Cairns in the commentary box. Joining me is the F10 driver, that is Jack Tyler. Good evening.
Good evening, Tom. Good evening, everyone. Hope you all enjoyed your week's break. I certainly did, especially after the chaos that we had last time out in Canada. On the last couple of laps, where Gareth all spun out at turn 1. Hopefully we have more chaos. Hopefully we have, hopefully we have some drama again tonight. Obviously Dino leading the championship, so it should get interesting in the last couple of stages.
Most certainly so, and the championship has closed right up a lot. Well, I say closed right up, it's widened up a little bit with Steve taking back-to-back victories to go with the one that he picked up in Portugal. So back-to-back victories for the Red Bull driver, has moved in within 26 points of his teammate Dino, who's leading the championship by 15 points over second place Gareth Hull. And with 5 races left and points running out and races running out, this is pretty much do or die time for the drivers. And on an old school circuit like Suzuka, this is where you really, really need to step up to the plate and bag yourself some good points.
Yeah, Japan's one of those tracks where you've got to focus. It's like Monaco, really. You've got to focus 100% of the time. You can't lack focus because first exit is so tricky. The S section even more tricky this year, especially with the new handling model. Now they changed it. The curbs as well being absolutely dreadful around here. Auto spin curves after auto spin curves after auto spin curves in sector 1, let alone as in the whole track. I think the drivers just need to take it safe, especially the top 3. I think they just need to take it safe, get as many points as they possibly can, and just build up here. Because I think we've got a break next week. And I don't know where we are the week after that, but this could be one of their stronger tracks. This could be one of their weaker tracks. If it's one of their weaker tracks, they've got to just hopefully get the points on the board that they can possibly get, and then just develop and then progress, get momentum, build that forward.
Yeah, and to fill you in, as well as the audience, on where the PSGL will be racing after Suzuka, as Jack mentioned, we take a week's break because of the Mexico City Grand Prix next weekend. And the week after that, we'll be racing in Mexico City at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez for round 12. The following week will be in Austin. And we take another week's break because of the esports championship that's happening during the weekend, I think, of that one. Round 14 will be in Baku, and then the final round of the season will be in Brazil. And just to re-jog my date for that, it will be on the 9th to the 13th. So it will be on the 9th of December, the F13 season finale in Brazil.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that finale because we could have a three driver championship battle to the end. Obviously 16 points is the race victory win, so if 3 drivers are within 17 points, sorry, because obviously a point for fastest lap now, isn't it? So if you're within 17 points, it's going to get interesting. You know, we could have 4 drivers potentially. You never know. There could be a late come up within the championship. So we'll see. There's 5 rounds to go. I hope my maths isn't wrong, but I won't risk it. But 5 times 16 is still a lot of points. So there's still a lot of points on offer.
Yeah, there's 80 points for the race victories, as well as another 5 for the fastest laps. So there's still plenty of points up for grabs. And just to fill you in on who's been called in as reserves for tonight, Flying Correct is filled in for Tomo Jr. at Alfa Romeo. Clausen is back as a reserve for tonight in the Ferrari in place of Camrals, and Lennon the Man in the McLaren in place of Milan. Just the 19 involved tonight, but we'll still see some great action on the track here at Suzuka. 18 minutes qualifying, followed by a 27-lap Japanese Grand Prix. And there was something else I was going to mention, of course. If you have just joined us on the stream, do make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel in case you haven't already done so. PSGL has been on the increase since the start of the season, and it'd be great if you could also subscribe to it as well and keep it on the increase. It's been, I think it started with over 3,000 before the first rounds in Bahrain, and we're up to more than 11,500 before we get underway here at Suzuka. And don't forget to be involved in the live chat as well. Keep the comments respectful, of course. but of course get involved in the conversation if you so wish so.
Yeah, it's a staggering progress. It's staggering the progress that PSGL has made. I've been in PSGL since F1 2016, and it was only Little League with F1 to F5. And you had a Performance League as well on Tuesdays, and I've seen it grow. I've seen it go to F7 to F8, and then all the way up to F13, and potentially even more leagues next season with more and more drivers signing up. It's absolutely staggering, I'd love to be a part. I love to be a part of it, and I am a part of it. Part of the commentary team now as well, and I'm loving every single second of this. I love League Racing, and this makes me happy seeing the progress that the league I've been in for 5-6 years.
Yeah,
it's exceptional.
It's exceptional indeed, and I've only been involved in the PSGL for a few months as a commentator, and it's been absolutely wonderful to be a part of. With the amount of dedication going on, whether it's being a racing driver or being a steward, sorting out calendars, sorting out forms of advertising that's to do with PSGL. I'm just looking to see, because we've now got 20 drivers in. I'm just looking to see who has decided to join in. The missing Sabetti, yes. So he's in, which he was expected to anyway, because Tomo Jr. is the other one not around. So looking to see who has been called in. It may have been Dan at AlphaTauri, but having said that, he is a full-time driver, I think, within there. So
yeah,
the drivers are ready and up now, so we'll get the qualifying session underway. Round 11 of the championship. Dino goes into the round with a 15-point lead over Gareth Hall, so that's nearly a full race victory. And so we are waiting for the session to begin. Drivers just sorting out their tyre allocations, which is also a default one because they will always have, just the 8 softs, 3 mediums and 2 hards, which you would obviously come down to what I believe is 4 softs, 2 mediums and a hard compound.
I think what for qualifying?
Yes, going into qualifying.
You don't have a hard compound available for qualifying. It's 3 softs and 1 medium.
That's
but
true.
You have one available for the race because it's reserved for race, I think.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You can't use some of them for qualifying, but you can most certainly use.
Yeah.
Except the one that gets reserved for Q3 in case we do have drivers wanting to do a run in Q3. But yeah, you see where I'm coming from anyway. But the qualifying session is about to begin, and it's rather overcast on the Suzuka track, so I don't know if we'll get any spots of rain hitting down on the racetrack.
I wonder who's going to come out first. And there's not much activity going on in the pit lane. Maybe there is a slight chance of rain towards the end of the session, so drivers can get their times in. Obviously, when we go racing around Suzuka, usually it's monsoon season, so Japan does get hit by a lot of monsoons. So the high possibility of rain here is very high. I believe in the very emotional 2014 race, there was a monsoon that hit at the time, and the race probably should have been cancelled, but obviously it wasn't, and we all know what happened there. We don't need to repeat what happened in that race, but hopefully we don't see any rain, because I do like a nice dry qualifying. So let's hope it stays dry.
Yeah.
Have you got finally seen AlphaTauri?
It's now for Romeo. Yes, it's now for Romeo heading out. That'll be Sabetti heading out there, and so he'll take to the racetrack. So we've got a full 20-car grid, which is great news. So we watch Sabetti make his way through the first turn, as it's known as, and I think the S's is where it's going to catch a lot of the drivers out, especially at the start when they're all so jam-packed together.
Yeah, especially with the auto spin curbs as well, that could be an issue as well around here. Obviously, because we've done that curve for the first time. Obviously Suzuka's a very narrow track as well, very hard to overtake. Only one DRS zone as well. You've got a lot of famous corners on this track, especially the 130R, where I believe in 2005, I think it was, where Fernando Alonso famously overtook Michael Schumacher around the outside. So maybe we'll see the repeat of those heroics today.
Most certainly so. And of course, the back straight leading onto 130R does not have a DRS zone because 130R is not a braking point. So that's why we've not had a DRS zone ever put there. So, like you've mentioned there, Jack, just the one DRS zone, which is on the pit straight. But I think we'll still see a fair amount of overtaking here once we see the drivers go toe-to-toe and the DRS has been enabled on lap 3. So we've not got too many drivers out on the racetrack at the moment. It could well be they're thinking more about the race at the moment, because once they do go out on track, they are under part Fermate rules.
I believe Luke Tavred's spun at Spoon, yeah, he has. He's spun at Spoon corner.
Yeah, he's on his out lap anyway, so that's not too much of a worry there, but he has continued. So we go to Sabetti, who begins a flying lap, so we'll ride on board with him for a bit. And so we go down to the first turn, as it's known as officially, at Suzuka. Makes his way through there. And he's got a Mercedes ahead of him that kindly moves out of the way. And now through the S's, where it's not particularly the best line through turns 2 and 3. 4 and 5, I would say, are better. He's having to fight with a little bit of oversteer on the entry to 5. Through 6, the Dunlop curve. And then you're coming towards Degner. The first part of Degner takes it cautiously, as I would imagine Sabetti will be wanting to just get a banker lap in there. Leaving Degner now, goes past Istrai, who stays out of the way. Sabetti's line wasn't particularly the greatest. Entering the hairpin. He exits out of there and down the hill. And the next braking point will be the Spoon curve. He needs to be on the outside here. He takes, yeah, it's a very good line actually for the Spoon curve. Oh, he got a kick of oversteer, which took him onto the curb. And so that's compromised his exit coming out of Spoon and onto this back straight towards 130R. Sabetti is on a 113.8, which is not going to be the quickest by any means by the time this session is over. He's coming towards the Casio Triangle chicane. Very nicely there actually through that chicane. That'll gain him some time for sure. Past the pit entry, opens the DRS to give himself a tiny bit of straight line speed over the line, and it's a 130.6.
Yeah, Sarking immediately beats that with a 130.1. I feel like Sabetti was taking it a little bit easy, you know. It's his first lap. It's the first lap on the track. He did say in the Discord chat that he's only just come in, so he is going to practice a little bit. So there wasn't much practice there, but you know, first lap it isn't too bad. It did seem a bit inconsistent, as Luke Tavred will be the next one coming to the line at 32.5 because those tyres are shot after spinning. But yeah, like Japan is such a hard track to get right. It is when you know you've got a lap right though around here, because it does feel really nice. As Gerber, he did spin twice to be fair. The section as FaZe Whipkiller goes first on.
Yes, he goes to P1 with the first sub 90-second lap. So Whipkiller to the top of the timing pages, but has still got 3/4 to the grid yet to set a lap time of any sort. Here is Steve, race winner from last time out and from the race before. He goes third fastest on a 130.4. Who's next behind? Well, there's F13 Mo, who, believe it or not, in the PSGL, he finished 5th once upon a time. And I think that was in season 24 that he achieved that in F6.
Yeah, well, around Japan. So, you know, Japan can cause. Obviously, you've got Spoon Corner, which is you can spin at quite often. Obviously, you got the hairpin. That's another taking opportunity. Spoon Corner is another taking opportunity. So is this corner here into the chicane. But there's a lot of places that you can lose it, where you can lose the car and ultimately end the race. For example, the S section is literally one of the hardest parts of this circuit. In the game this year with the amount of auto spin curbs, so you know we could see a lot of incidents here, but hopefully we don't. Hopefully the league and the drivers know the risks around here and take it quite well.
Yeah, well, here's Gareth Hall over the line. It's a 130.9, only good enough for 5th fastest at the moment. So for the first time in a long time, we've seen Gareth Hall deciding to go out onto the racetrack, because we've seen a lot from him in the past. He just doesn't decide to go out in qualifying at all, start at the back of the grid and make his way through the field, which has helped at times, but other times it hasn't quite so. So he goes to P5, does Gareth Hall. We'll go to Flying Croat, who's on a flying lap in the Alfa Romeo. Now, Flying Croat has been standing in as a reserve for a lot of the races this season, just trying to see how many races he's actually been in. He's been involved 8 times from 10 races, so only 2 races he actually hasn't been part of, despite being a reserve throughout the course of this season in F13.
Good line.
Very good line, yeah, through Spoon. You can see NSR deciding to take the alternate route to the pit entry, which is not too bad of an idea, quite frankly. But Flying Kite goes up to third on a 1:30.3. Speedquin is also coming through in the Mercedes. He's just wanting to get
I think he's on an outlap when about to start one because he's an 100% ERS. But his fuel light's on, so he's boxing.
Yeah, I was going to say he had his previous lap time invalidated for track limits, and he ran out of fuel, so he decided to come back in.
Sorry, I'm just wondering if Gaff will set that lap time because he's 15 points behind Dino. If he would have been closer, maybe he would have started at the back of the grid alongside him. But he's got to get as far ahead as possible than his championship rivals.
So we've just seen Flying Kite go for a spin at the Dunlop curve, and he's broken part of his front wing, so he needs to be careful he gets back to the pits without damaging the car even more. He's looking to see what Luke Red is up to. Josh has decided to not go out in qualifying, so he will start at the back of the grid. It's been a rather mixed season for him, has to be said. It's been below par, it has to be said. 18th in the championship with no points scored since the opening round in Bahrain.
That's a long time ago. Seems like forever ago that Bahrain race happened. You know, starting the season off, everyone had high hopes for the championship, and some have been disappointed, some were excited. But it feels like forever since this game's come out and since the season started. I think back in August, was it? August?
Yeah.
You know, so it's 2 months, but it's felt like 6 months to be fair. But to be fair, it is a long season, probably the longest season we've ever had in PSGL, 15 races. I don't remember a season this long. So yeah, but here comes Dion Nolan into the final chicane. I can't remember what it's called, but gets a good light exit around there. They'll see there's no bump on this track anymore like there was last year. They comes across the line to do a 1:30.1, so a 90.1 second lap, basically.
Yeah, that's a very good lap time there. Mr. Grumpy coming through, but he's on an invalidated lap time. Just to fill you in on the name of that chicane, it's called the Casio Triangle. So
the Casio Triangle. Okay.
Yeah. So I think because of I can't remember what Casio do actually, but I know obviously it's a popular company kind of name. But someone else may be able to fill me in on that whilst we're watching qualifying. We've got just over 8 minutes to go. Faze Whitcolour, top of the timing sheets with a 1:29.9, and it's Dion Knoll and Sarking a couple of tenths adrift in second and third. Steve, the highest of the championship contenders. Well, I say highest of the championship contenders, he's in fifth because Dion Knoll is in second, who is looking in good form at the moment, although he didn't score last time out in Canada when he should have done so.
Yeah, that Canada race was just crazy though, wasn't it, Tom? Towards the end, you know, that very late safety car, and it just went all kinds of wrong for everyone, especially this person here, Mr. Grumpy, who was on the lap. I think he's at purple sector 1, you know, he won the race out front, but he had about 12 seconds worth of penalties, so ended up getting demoted down to P2, but yeah, that race wasn't. I don't think Gareth wants to look back on that last week really fondly. Really, I think he's just been wants to look forward, get it down, get his head down, practice as much as he possibly can, and get a good lap time in, and hopefully do well. But Mr. Grumpy will come into 1:30R now, and this looks a solid lap. To be fair, I think he's purple sector 1 and 2, so this could be a 29.8 potentially. Oh, maybe not because Dion Knoll's done a 29.5. That's a very good lap from Dion Knoll there. I think he was pole a couple of weeks ago. But here comes Mr. Grumpy out the final chicane. Of course, open DRS is a 29.976. That's not that bad of a time, especially on 2 lap-old soft tyres. But saying that, Dion Knoll's done that and has gone 4 tenths quicker.
Lennon coming through as well. We're not expected to be anywhere near that pace, quite frankly. It's a 1:32.6. It's the first time he's been involved in the PSGL since the second race of the season the third race of the season at Spa. So Lennon will be wanting to get back into the groove here as soon as he can and be in the frame of scoring some points. Speedquin coming through. We expect him to be in the running as Lennon has decided to crash out on the racetrack. Not sure what's happened to him. Yeah, he's crashed out at the S. Yeah, he's lost it at the SS. Yeah, so not what he wanted there. That was not ideal. So he'll start 13th or lower as Speedquin goes to the front row. Yeah, on a 1:29.9. Who else is on the flying lap? Well, Dan is, but NSR is coming to the Casio Triangle chicane now, and so we'll see him clock his first lap time of the session. It's not going to be pole position. It's a 1:30.9. He goes 10th with that, so there's definitely more time to be found. Oh, and that's Gareth all off! at the Dunlop curve.
Ooh.
That's a major shunt there for the man second place in the championship. Garofol caught the curve on the inside and has thrown it all the way in the barrier.
That's not what he needed at all. It's been a bit of awful. We had after a very disappointing showing in Canada. I think he ended up getting P5 in the end, but not what he needed at all. He wanted to get ahead of his championship rivals of Stay, Dion Knowles, P1 at the moment, and Dino, who probably won't come out, but he's going to have to start from potentially the back row of the grid, but that's not good for him. But not at all. Not what he wanted. Not what Williams wanted, and Jos Capitao will not be happy on the pit wall.
No, most definitely not, as this try goes through sector 2, nearly 4 tenths up from before by this stage of the lap. Is entering the Casio Triangle chicane now. Rise the curves nicely there. He missed the apex in the second part, but let's see how he gets on. He does not take the shorter route to the line. He stays 13th on a 1:31.0, so he's not able to displace Garofol on that occasion. Jehoven in the sole surviving Williams in this qualifying session now. He is in 18th position with no time on the board. I have to say Sarking's up in 5th place, but he's also not going back out again. I don't know if he's had enough somewhere or whether he's decided to stop in the pits.
I think he's in the pits because there's a white dot in the pits, but then the guy is saying that Garofal's in the pits. But I think he just went into the pits and retired like he usually does. But saying that, 2nd to 5th is extremely close. That's what, 900ths? And Juho Finn has crashed out at 130R. He's lost it at 130R. If you go on board with Dan, you'll see the stricken car there. Oh wow, that's a bit further down than 130R. So he must have controlled it and then lost it later down the line. So that's a big shunt from the Williams, and both Williamses are wrecked.
Yeah, both Williamses wrecked, so there's going to be some time for them to repair as Dan goes 14th on a 1:31.0. That was a full second quicker than they were posted last time. So he's definitely wanting to find more time than that. Whip Killer coming into the pits in the AlphaTauri. Feinkart is not on a flying lap at the moment. Clausen's not on a fast lap, to be honest with you. Neither is NSR. Istrai is on a fast lap, so he's gone for another time lap here. This might be the last one he decides to do unless he comes into the pits at the end of his lap, if that's what he wants to be doing. We'll have a look to see. Now he's coming on to complete this one. Not taking the best route to the line though, and he only goes 11th on a 1:30.6.
That's surprising when they're not taking, and as then NSR pits and retires. That's surprising when they're not taking this shorter route to the line, because that probably will gain you like about half a tenth, maybe more. But we're gonna, with 3 minutes to go now, we're ready to start the final lap times. And can any of the top down to I'd say top 4, can any of the top 4 close in on Dylan Knowles' gap of 3 tenths? Sorry.
So I'm just looking to see if there was any drivers that have qualifying bans at all. Let's just have a look to see, so that I can just re-jog my memory from a couple of weeks back, because they do take a few days actually before they decide on what penalties they decide to give out and what drivers need to serve them. There may not be anyone needing to serve it. You can see Dino in the pits, Jehoven also not saying a lap time. Mr. Grumpy not going back out again.
I think Josh had a quali ban for what I think he had 2 separate incidents in it. I think one of them got a quali ban, so that's why he's not come out.
Which makes a lot of sense. So yeah, he got 3 licence points for a collision with Speakwin, and he was also involved in another collision with Garofol on the 5th lap at turn 13, so that was another 3 points for him. So he's on 6 licence points, is Josh, from his calamities in Canada, so that's why he's served the qualifying ban. You can see his try slowing down, just staying out of the way of other drivers. Flying Karat is on a flying lap, as is Gerber. So we're not seeing many drivers on flying laps right now, actually. So this could be more or less it for qualifying once Flying Karat and Gerber go over the line. Flying Karat exiting the spoon curve, and he'll be going towards the 2nd sector time beam. And he's half a second up from before. So Flying Karat could be in play here to get his Alfa Romeo on the front row.
I wonder what happened to Mr. Grumpy, because he was out and he retired, so I don't know if he just retired because he crashed or what. He must have missed that.
Well, Flying Karat's gone to the front row with that lap time there, so P2 for Flying Karat. That's a good lap time for him. Stee is on a fast lap as well, so we'll keep an eye on him next, because Skirbo is on an invalidated lap. So can Stee get on to pole position here? This could be crucial for his championship charge. He's got some traffic ahead of him though, hasn't he? Has Steve?
Yeah, I think he's got a Ferrari of Clausen and Mercedes of Speedquin in front of him, and Dion Noll in front of him. So he's got relatively quick guys in front of him, to be fair. Clausen's only just under 20 hundredths off it, so it will be fine, I think, going into this, just as long as they don't back off. Which I don't think they should, but he's 4 tenths off at the moment, so this could take him into 29.9s, potentially into P3.
Here we go then. Steve entering the Casio Triangle chicane. He should be okay between now and the line here. Can he improve on his 130.4? The answer is yes, 129.9. He goes 5th. Now,
yeah, that's not. Sorry.
Gerber's spun on the exit of Degner, so that's his qualifying session over. Sabetti's just got over the line before the checker flag has fallen. F13 Mo is on a much better lap time than what he had posted beforehand by sector 1. So could he spring a surprise and get himself possibly into the top 10? Well, he's actually over 8 tenths behind Dan, who's in 14th ahead of him. He's found a couple of tenths more by sector 2, but he's ideally needing to find a lot more as he goes through the last chicane now. And at 53 Mo, can he put his McLaren up there ahead of Dan, maybe? The answer is yes, 14th fastest, so beaten by 1,000th of a second. Who is on a fast lap? Well, Speedquin is on a fast lap.
Dion Noll's crashed to Degner.
Yeah, on the exit of Degner, Dion Noll has crashed, so he's still on pole position at the moment, but Speedquin is on a faster lap time than he had posted before. His time is set to say 4 tenths up from before, so this is looking good for Speedquin, who's been on pole 3 times already this season. Can he make it 4 here in Japan? He's coming through the last chicane now, and this could be good enough to put him on pole position. That's Gerber, who luckily didn't compromise in there. And Speedquin goes to pole position there, but look at Steve, who's not on a fast lap. Clarison, next for Ferrari. He improves, but stays 9th fastest. Sabetti not on the fast lap time. So Dino's the last one who goes in the pits, and that is his session over. He will start 19th on the grid. So Speedquin, for the 4th time in season 29 in F13, he will line up on pole position.
Yeah, that's a really good lap from Speedquin, but I wonder if he did lose a bit of time to take the right outside line there, didn't he? Because his teammate who had crashed out, which is odd there. I'm surprised it didn't ghost, but yeah, good lap from Speedquin, and I'm going to get some water because my throat is really dry, if that's okay, Tom.
I don't blame you doing that, and whilst you can do that, I will go through the classification on a rundown on who will line up on the grid. As you can see, Steve just making his way back to the pit lane. And then we'll run down on what's happened in this qualifying session. So Speedquin is on pole position with Dion Noll in P2 alongside. Then we've got the Alfa Romeo Flying Karat, the highest of the reserve drivers, in 3rd place. And very well done to the Face Whip Killer, getting his AlphaTauri up to 4th place on the grid with his lap time in the opening minutes of the session. Steve lines up 5th ahead of Mr. Grumpy, with Sarking and Gerber on the 4th row ahead of Klaus and Sabetti, rounding out the top 10. Istroy and NSR are on row 6 ahead of Garofol and Ab53 Mo. Dan and Lutzered make up the 8th row ahead of Lennon and Jehofin, who did not set a lap time. Dino came back into the pits after doing a short run. Josh served a qualifying ban, so he'll start in plumb last. So with Garofol 13th, Dino 19th, and with the next couple of highest for championship contenders, we've got Steve, who is starting in 5th place on the grid. Dion Noll starting 2nd. That is going to make for an interesting Grand Prix, and this is going to be something which we need to keep an eye out as far as the championship is concerned. I'm just wondering to see if it's going to rain or not here at Suzuka, and it is so.
Oh, it is.
These are intermediate conditions, though.
Yeah, these are inters. I wondered why people didn't go into mediums to start to do a lap. That's why, because it is raining here. As I did say earlier on, it is monsoon season in Japan when we go racing around here, so rain is a very high possibility. And we have got, right, not monsoon, thankfully. We've got a bit of light rain. And this could get interesting then. Could it go dry? Could it go even wetter? Stay tuned with us, ladies and gentlemen, because this will be a very interesting race. Wet setups are plenty.
Mm-hmm. So the drivers are going to go off on their formation lap, and there's no surprise that everyone is all starting on the intermediate, so we don't need to run through that. So Speedquin, can he get away from the lights and get his first victory of the season. He's been unlucky a lot this season, has Speakwin, whether it's been serving as a reserve or serving as a full-time driver for Mercedes. He has had a lot of bad luck go against him. And we'll just ignore that because that makes no difference to the race anyway. So Speakwin leads Dion Knoll. Dion Knoll will need to bounce back here after his pointless score in Canada. Dion Knoll going into this round 27 points off the leader, Dino, who will be starting 19th. I wonder what Gareth Hall will be thinking as well.
He'll be thinking, keep my nose clean, surely. You know, he's in 13th, he's only 3 positions off first, and 10th place he's going to have cold tyres, and 8th. So if he gets a good start here, obviously turn 1 and turn 2 is very tight. So what he needs to do is not do what he done in Canada, because he is right ahead of the guy who did collide with in Canada, NSR, formerly known as Noisia. So what he's got to do is just keep his nose clean, keep calm, and someone else has just gone into the grass there. I think that was this try, or Carlton, sorry. Yeah, he's got to keep his nose clean and just get through lap 1, turn 1, the whole lap really, and see where he is then. And then make progress through there, pick off one by one, because he's one of the quicker drivers here. That's why he's in P2 in the championship. So he's just got to keep it clean. He knows he's quick, so just keep your nose clean, really.
Mm-hmm. In the Constructors' Championship, Red Bull are 48 points clear over second place Aston Martin. Now, the maximum number of points a team can score in a round in the PSGL is 29. It's 16 points for a race victory, remember, 12 for second, 10 for third. Right the way down to 10th place gets 1 point, so top 10 score points, and a point on offer for the driver who sets the fastest lap, but they must finish inside the top 10 in order to get that point. So Speakwin coming through 130R, he's raring to go for the start. Round 11, the first of 5 final races of season 29. We've got 2 races in the in the continent of North America, in Mexico and the USA, and then we've got the last 2 rounds in Azerbaijan and Brazil to finish off the season. Tyler, or Jack, I should say, what are you looking out for in this one?
I'm looking out for drivers who just keep it consistent, because this track is about consistency, delivering consistent lap times, because it is a very tricky track. You know, so you've got to keep it consistent. If you keep it consistent, undercut is quite strong around here as well, I believe. So we will see what happens. But I'm just wondering what happened to Dion Knoll's AI, because they and Anoisius, because NSR, because they just both completely cut the last chicane. But here we go then, Tom. We're ready for Japan, a wet Japan race.
Yes, absolutely, and it could be a very significant one in the championship race. The drivers await for the 5 red lights to extinguish. When they go out, we'll be racing here at Suzuka. It's lights out, and away we go. Speaker was a little bit slow off the line. Dion Knoll reacted slightly better, but look at Flying Krat cutting through the pair of them. He's going to lead into the first turn, so Flying Krat into the lead for a moment, but Speakwin fights back. So Speakwin remains in the lead at the moment with Flying Krat in second place. It's Dion Knoll in place. It's Steve ahead of the Alpine of Mr. Grumpy. There's an incident, but I think Gerber's gone round as well as NSR. Grumpy safe out of Clausen, Sarking, Istrai and Sabetti. Gareth Hall up with a couple of positions to 11th. Dino up to 15th.
Yeah, Gerber just lost it out of turn 2. It was relatively clean at the back on the grid. Obviously, I did watch back of the grid. I was doing what content on the front. But what a start for Flying Krat. He did end up not winning getting P1, but he gets P2. I think he started P3, so it was sort of a decent start. But yeah, everyone just...
contact made! Sorry to interrupt you there, Jet. There was contact made between Speakwin and Flying Krat at the hairpin, but Speakwin remains in front, and that allows Dion Knoll to close in on the Alfa Romeo by the time they go down towards the Speakwin. There's an incident there behind. There's a McLaren of Lennon and NSR. Gerber struggling to get round back to the pits. We've got a virtual safety car because of all the debris that is saturated around the circuit.
Yeah, it's wet. You just got to take it careful. People are forgetting it's wet. Well, surely they're not forgetting it's wet, but they've just got to just keep their head in it, because obviously the wet does cause carnage around here, especially with this track and the curbs as well. So you've got to balance it out. You've got to just try and take it, push it as hard as you can, but then also try and reel it in a little bit, because you know, the wet conditions can cause a lot of carnage, and we have seen a lot of carnage towards the back of the grid. But a lot less carnage than I thought it would be, especially in turn 1 and 2. At the VSC, we are going again, and Dion Knoll's lost a lot of time.
He has, and that allows Steve to pull alongside him. Dion cut across on him slightly, but left him enough room. Steve to the inside going into turn 1, and this is him going up into third place. Look, I didn't want to be the cameraman that was sat on the curb, to be honest with you, but Steve gets the job done on Dion. He goes off into third place.
Yeah, that got very close. That's why I went a bit wee, because it got way too close to any liking. But the bottom 3 do all pit due to damage to the front wings.
So the 3 drivers in the pits are NSR, Lennon and Gerber. At least all 20 cars are still running at the moment, but those at the back will be hoping for a safety car later on as Feinkrat closes back in on Speakwin. In the battle for the lead, Sarkin gets up into 7th place ahead of FaZe Whitkiller, who's beginning to really fall back. You can see they're struggling to get through Degner clean there, and he runs wide. So what is it with FaZe Whitkiller already in the first couple of laps?
He could have a dry setup on, or maybe he's just struggling big time as he gets in the grass. Oh. Double lock up as well there. Actually get that car stopped. Gapel's got to get past as quickly as possible. And he does. I think with FaZe Whitkiller's just got a dry setup on. So maybe that means it might be dry, or maybe he's just struggling in the wet.
He's not enjoying these conditions one bit as Mr. Grumpy gets past Steve actually, and must have made a mistake somewhere because he's fallen back behind Dion Knoll and now Mr. Grumpy, and there's Clausen waiting to pounce as well. Clausen, who's already won at Monza this season. Can he go for win number 2 here today? There's a long way to go yet and a lot of time for things to change, and the drivers will be coming out. See how far Clausen's gone off the racetrack there. I hope he didn't pick up a warning for that. He won't want to be going off too many times, otherwise he'll be dished with a 3-second time penalty for track limits. So Speakwin exits or ends the second lap in the race lead. There's no DRS because of the conditions. Someone's gone off in sector 3. That's Dino.
It's Dino.
So Dino off. There's a bit of debris as well. Don't know who's that's come off. It's Josh. So Josh may have run into the back of him actually. And FaZe Whitkiller is in the pit, so one of Whitkiller's picked up damage on that first lap. Oh no, he hasn't.
He's just... Maybe his tyre's just overheating, and he's just come in, get some new fresh set of intermediates on, and go from there. But Dino round then, not what he wanted, especially in the championship bit. The gap must be licking his lips now.
Speakwin ran wide, and that allows Feinkrat to close back in. Sorry to interrupt there, Jack, but Speakwin just understeered into the Dunlop curve, and that's allowed Feinkrat to get back in on him. And so the 2 go through the Degner. That was not the best line from either of them, to be honest with you. And that allows Dion Knoll to close in. So now we've got a 3-way fight for the lead.
Yeah, this race gets interesting, ladies and gentlemen. And if Mr. Grumpy closes in, you've probably got potential. Oh, Dion Knoll's round! He's out of the race!
He's crashed out. Oh, that's a terrible shame there for Dion Knoll. They didn't need that on lap 3 of the race. He closed up on the top 2. He must have caught the curve on the exit of the hairpin, and that's pitched him. That's pitched him into the wall, and Dion Knoll's race is over. That's a very, very bad dent in his championship hopes. The virtual safety car is deployed for the second time, but Dion Knoll's race has come to a premature close. It's not the full safety car of which FaZe Whitkiller, Josh, NSR, Lennon, and Gerber will have wanted, but we could get that very shortly. But Speakwin in the race lead still at the moment with Feinkrat in P2.
I'm thinking he clipped the inside curb, and then when you put the power down, he just lost it completely. But he was in P3, he was going so well, but gutting race in Canada. He knows he should have done better there, but it's just he's still got 4 races to go after this, so there's still a chance for him to claw back. Obviously, Dino's still at the point, so and I mean he's still going to be 26 points behind, but that is gutting.
And Garofal's up to 8th place now, the man who is second in the championship. So as it stands, he would close in on Dino by 3 points. The fastest up of the race at the moment is Flying Karat in second place as Luke Red gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car. So that will be him into the pits within the next 3 laps. Yeah,
not good for Luke Red. And he was one that wasn't racing, by the way. That was supposed to be 19, but then he decided he said he could race. So. Yeah, but we're back under green conditions today now, and Feinkrat's got all that work to do again. As Speakwin's gained away from him. Oh, he's almost lost it.
He very nearly lost it there, but caught it in time. But that has compromised his entry into the hairpin and loses crucial ground there to Speakwin slightly. But all of this has allowed Mr. Grumpy, who's won twice this season in Bahrain and China, he's going in for win number 3 here. He's one of only 2 drivers to have won more than once this season. Steve's the other driver to have won at least twice. As Clausen closes in on the Red Bull in the battle for 4th place. He's had a good start so far as Clausen. And now he's looking to get the move on here on Steve. But Steve needs to keep him behind for all he can to help him in the championship.
Yeah, I can't believe we've only got 2 repeat winners this season, and both of them aren't. One of them isn't even in the title fight. You know, it's staggering. But yeah, I think Mr. Grumpy just knows that you just need to keep consistent here because Speakwin and Flying Croat are the league of their own at the moment. Saying that, Speakwin's 1.3 seconds ahead of Flying Croat, but Mr. Grumpy's 2 seconds behind Flying Croat. So I think he knows that he just got to manage his tyres, manage the fuel, manage the pace, and see the way it takes him come lap 27.
And Dan closing in on Lutzered in the battle for the final points paying position, and Gerber's race is over.
Oh.
Yeah, he's crashed between the hairpin and the spoon curve. Is that going to be enough to bring out the safety car? It's a virtual safety car, but that could still upgrade to a safety car if race control decides to do that. We'll wait and see any moment. But Speakwin is still able to maintain his lead, but this is the thing where drivers need to make sure they don't exceed the delta that's been sent out to them, because if they do, they'll end up with the same penalty as what Lutzered did a lap or so ago.
5 laps, 3 virtual safety cars, not even a full safety car yet. The VSCs, you know, are a good concept. I don't like them personally. I think it should just be safety car, but then again, you know, some people might like the VSCs more than the actual safety cars, so who knows?
Yeah, and Quinn has just come in saying in the live chat that it's going to be dry at the end of the race, not full wet. So this is going to be interesting in regards to strategy, because if it is going to stop raining, who's going to go on whatever compound?
Yeah, if it's going towards the end of the race, you've got softs, but are the drivers going to try and, let's say guys drive that 20, are they going to try and stretch these intermediates 20 laps? Because, you know, some people might be able to do that, some people might not. People on pad definitely will not be able to, like myself. But, you know, this is a very long VSC though. But, you know, if it gets, I think that we could see drivers trying to stretch the intermediates to the point. Oh, Gaff also wants to drive through.
Yeah, that's a drive-through. Yeah, for exceeding the delta. I was saying that a moment ago about exceeding the delta. That's the punishment that Gareth has got. That has a bad dental change. He's taking it straight away, which is wise of him to do so in case we do get a safety car. Clausen into the pits though, which is early to go on.
First penalty, Flying Croat.
Yeah, so first time penalty of the race. Flying Croat, that'll be for track limits, so he's lost ground to Speakwin. With that,
he almost lost it.
So we're right on board with him. He needs to make sure he doesn't lose his cool or his marbles. And now you just want to try and gain as much time as possible over the curves, not too heavily. And he'll be closing back right up on the Mercedes as they come towards the hairpin. And so following those 3 coming into the pits, as Flying Croat goes well wide actually at the hairpin. What I was going to say, Gareth will rejoin in 13th, Clausen in 12th, and Lutzered in 14th positions.
Yeah, you know, very, very chaotic start to this Grand Prix, but a lot of people pitting a lot earlier than first thought, but, you know, maybe that's the strategy they want to go on, you know.
Oh, someone's in the wall! F13 Mo, he's crashed out! He's done pretty much exactly... Yeah, that will be a safety car. He's done pretty much exactly the same thing as what Dionol did earlier. I would be very surprised if that is not a safety car. So F13 Mo, who was running in 8th place, was F13 Mo. He was doing very, very well, but he must have caught the curb on the exit of the hairpin and hit the barrier on the inside. So that's one of the McLarens out of the race, as you can see Speakwin and Flying Croat exchanging fastest laps. But yeah, that's another driver falling foul of the conditions.
How on earth is that not a safety car?
Well, it looked worse than Dion Knowles' accident, didn't it?
Yeah, the car's still on the track. I cannot believe Michael Matthews did not quit out the safety car there. I get we've had 3 VSCs in 7 laps, but you've got to quit out the safety car there.
And that's promoted Dino into 8th place, so he's done well to get himself up to where he is. And look at Jehofen as well, up to 9th as well. He's done well from the back of the grid, actually, keeping his Williams out of trouble. Dan is on a penalty, and Speakwin now gets a time penalty for track limits. So it's level pegging at the moment between those two in terms of the penalties, but Mr. Grumpy could move up to 2nd place as it stands if Flying Croat does not pull out a 3-second margin on him.
Yeah, Mr. Rumble just now needs to push it a little bit, because if he knows, well, you will know that both drivers in front got 3-second time penalties, so you just need to get within 3 seconds of Speedquin, but at the moment he's 4.7, so maybe just managing the tyres, because obviously if it's going to get dry towards the end of the race, thank you to the viewer who did say that. This could be interesting.
So Speedquin's margin is 1.8 seconds as they go down, as Whitcler is the next driver to receive a time penalty. There is Sarking, we're riding on board behind. He's got his teammate Istrai behind him, who has been in relatively good form, I think, of late, has Istrai. Just looking to see his points finish. He's finishing the points in the last 5 races, actually, so he's done very well. Someone's gone off in Sector 2, not sure who that is. That Whitcler that's gone round, it is. And that's him falling down the order there, unfortunately. So Whitcler down to 16th place. He looked so promising in qualifying, but it just showed in the race that he must have gone in with a dry setup before he went out of the garage to do his lap. And yeah, it's just not got any better for him. He'll be hoping for a safety car later on.
Yeah, we got, obviously Mr. Grumpy did say that it's a full wet race, and then now we're being told it's dry at the end. So, we'll see what happens towards the end of the Grand Prix, but this could get interesting. Obviously, drivers, if it is during the dry, obviously, as I said multiple times, extending that interest in is crucial to this. I think if you save a pit stop, you're winning in this race, because I think everyone else might struggle. So if you get the tyres in the optimum range and get them
contact.
going.
There was contact between Whitcler and Lutzered as Lutzered was trying to get into the pit lane there. So I wonder if the stewards may look at that one. But sorry to interrupt you again there, Jack. There's just been action going on as it's been happening. Lutzered won't be too pleased.
Oh, speaking of, he lost it where Gerber lost it, because he has to slow down. That's why he's throwing quite, just getting up 5 tenths on him in that straight alone. So yeah, Speedquin making mistakes out in front.
So Speedquin not prone to not making mistakes. He is human after all. As we see Flying Crat keeping in touch with him under a couple of seconds. And I wonder how long it'll be before Sarking will get a move on here on Steve, because he's been sticking to him like glue. As Steve didn't quite get the best of entries right into the left-hander of 130R. And now they're going through the Casio Triangle chicane now, and Speedquin is in the pits.
Yeah, and as Whitcler goes round again at Degner 2, Speedquin in and out, 2.6 seconds stop.
Yeah, Whitcler made an absolute dog's dinner of trying to recover there. He's out now, yeah. That's poor driving standards, unfortunately, from Whitcler. That may bring out the safety car now, it has done.
And that saved Speedquin. Where's Flying Car out on this track? Keep into a doubt that this could be interesting.
Yeah. Well, they've got a delta which they have to adhere to, don't forget.
Yeah, that's what... I think that saved Speedquin. I think Flying Crat just been... Well, actually, I don't know, to be fair, actually. It's because this could get injured. If Flying Crat doesn't pit, if Flying Crat stays out here, and Speedquin's pit, then Speedquin's got to get through traffic upon traffic, and one of them being Flying Crat's teammate Sabetti, so... We'll see.
Yeah, I think the stewards will be speaking to Whitcler afterwards, because that looked deliberate to me in terms of how he handled it. He should have handled it better, and that was avoidable, was that. So, because when you lose your front wing like that, you're supposed to go more slowly. You can't just go through corners as quick as you would do with the front wing on. You've got to go through there slower, which, that's something which the stewards will be speaking to Whitcler about afterwards. London comes into the pits to get a change of tyres on in the sole surviving McLaren.
The point of a front wing, obviously, is to give you downforce. And when you don't have a front wing, you don't have downforce. So if you're going to try and take corners, if you're going to try and take one for AR like now without a front wing, you're going to go straight off. Because there is no downforce on that car. You're going to have to brake for the corner. So, yeah, it did look a bit bad, but you had no front wing. You've got to take it easy, as you said, Tom. And as Flying Cart is in, Speedquin's not even come through 130i yet. This could be interesting. Here we go then.
I don't think he's going to get out in front of him, to be honest with you, but we'll see.
I think he will, because he's coming into the chicane now. He might not, actually.
Well, you can say, even though he's exited the box there, he's still having to adhere to the pit lane speed limit. He might actually get out in front of Speedquin. He's off the limit. Yeah, he's off the limiter now, and Speedquin, it's going to be a race to someone, and Speedquin just gets back in front. You couldn't have called it. You couldn't have scripted that, could you?
No, I think the safety car came out at the perfect time for flying Croat. So, when the safety car got called, Speedpin just come up the pit lane, so didn't really save any time. But Mr. Grumpy's came out a lot closer than what we probably thought of. I know it's a safety car, but he came out about a second behind Speedquin, so that actually kind of helped Mr. Grumpy a little bit.
And this has helped Gareth Hall get back into it now. He's in 11th place behind Clausen. And all the others who are well down the order, particularly Josh, NSR, Lutzered and Lennon, they can all get themselves right up to the back of the pack. Now this is the first lap that the safety car is doing at the moment, because he waited for the leader to be picked up. Sometimes it goes through a few corners first before it comes to a stop, and then once the leader does come up to it, that's when it starts moving again.
Yeah. In my career mode, it stopped at just after the Dunlop curve, but it was that, I think it was stopped at turn 1 and turn 2. That bad is a bit screwed there, isn't it, on the hairpin? Maybe they need to try and fix that doing the marshals. But Speedquin leads with a 3-second time penalty instead of flying Croat. So at the moment, if the race were to finish now, Mr. Grumpy would win this Grand Prix.
He would do, but we are not under green flag conditions at the moment, so it could well be that Speedquin and Flying Croat may pull away from Mr. Grumpy on the restart, and we've got 17 laps to go once they go over the line next. And Lennon's off the track in the McLaren, and he's damaged his front wing. What an embarrassment.
Wow. That means safety car will be staying out for a couple more laps now, and they might just forget about him, and they might just have one without him. But yeah, you just got to take it careful. It's a safety car. You can't really lose it with a safety car, because that is a bit embarrassing, but,
Yeah.
He's got to go back to the pit lane and get his front wing fixed again.
This is not good. Not been a good race for Lennon. It's his first race since the Belgian Grand Prix back in September, I think it was. I think it was maybe end of August. A long time since the Manchester United supporter had been racing in the PSGL. I know you're grinning there because I know you're a Liverpool fan, but we don't need to go down that road. We all know what happened at the weekend. But yeah, Lennon is going to make his way back into the pit lane as Speedquin continues to lead. Then it's Flying Croat ahead of Mr. Grumpy, Sarking in 4th, so he was able to leapfrog Steve in the pit stops. Istray in 6th ahead of Sabetti and Dino, Jehofin's 9th, and Clausen in the final points paying position for Ferrari in 10th.
Yeah, Stay would have been happy on Sunday, so we can let's not talk about that anymore, because that's in the past. We're in the future now, in the present. Sorry, not in the future. What am I talking about? We're in the present now, and Speedquin in the lead. We're Flying Croat in 2nd. I don't think we've seen Flying Croat up this high for a little while, have we? I haven't seen him up this high since I've been commentating. So this could get interesting. Flying Croat probably wants his first win this season. So Speedquin, I think, hasn't won yet either, has he?
No.
He spun out in the lead in China, so which gave the win to Mr. Grumpy. So these two are going to fight for it, and fight for it with everything they've got.
Well, just remember there was a safety car at Silverstone. Speedquin was dominating the race, and then from the restart onwards, it just all fell apart for him. So he's got to hope that history doesn't repeat itself. He was also on pole at Spa, where I think he was taken out by one of the Aston Martin drivers under the safety car period, which looked very clumsy. And I think Inosia, now known as NSR, he was the one that got penalised for it.
Yeah, I wasn't in any of those races, but as you described them to me, they were very interesting. I don't think the safety car's coming in this lap. I think it'll come in next lap.
No,
it gives time for Lennon to catch up.
Yeah, so Lennon's just been in the pits again, but this is whatever happens. This will be the last lap that the safety car will go round, because it's a maximum of 3 laps of which the safety car decides to do on F1 2021. So even if Lennon's not at the back of the pack, by the time the safety car gets round one more time, the safety car will go in.
Carlton's in, so I don't know what's happened there. Not got damage, but is there something being changed, or did you just change your tyres? Changing tyres.
Ooh, medium.
It's on strife.
So medium compound tyres for Clausen. Now the track is still damp at the moment. There's still drops of rain hanging over the horizon, but it could well be within 2-3 minutes time that the rain does stop, to the point which it could be time for dries. But I don't think Clausen's on the right tyres, do you?
No, absolutely not.
But you're doing a Sebastian Vettel at Istanbul, but this could pay off 10 times worth of Sebastian Vettel at Istanbul because the barriers are very close around this track. So let's see. Let's see indeed.
Well, he's going to catch up to the back of the pack anyway. He'll have an opportunity to warm up his slicks, but the problem is he's just going through water constantly. So it's just the temperature in the tyres is just going to cool down every time they just go through patches of water. So Clausen coming through Degner. To be fair, he got through Degner not too badly actually. So if he could just keep it steady to begin with, and then once more and more grip is found, he'll be able... Ooh, he caught the curb there, and he catches up to Luke's red now. So it didn't take him that long to get onto the back of the pack, actually, did it?
No, but he does seem like he's... Yeah, there. All that hairpin, he's going to be struggling big time. So, he will lose a heap of amount of time, but... I don't think that was the right gamble, but... Maybe he thinks it's time. You never know.
He'll save him to come back into the pits as well, so...
Yeah.
And so the safety car is... Yep, the safety car is in this lap, and Spequint will slow the pack down, and he'll go when he's ready to do so. He's got to make sure he doesn't, go off and then jam on the brakes, which is highly unlikely that he'll do that. And Beinkraut will need to make sure he does not get caught napping here, and that he stays with him on the restart. Otherwise, he's going to be vulnerable to the likes of Mr. Grumpy and Sarking behind him. Well, Spequint is exiting the Casio Triangle chicane now, and he's not quite gone yet. He's waiting. Well, it's going to be pretty much Grand National style, isn't it? And Spequint is underway now. And Flying Krat is not too far back from him. And Mr. Grumpy's surely not going to have a go. But look further behind him. That's Steve going side by side with Sarking. I think Sabetti got a move done there, actually, on his try. So Sabetti gets up into 6th position. I don't think we've had too many collisions behind. Clausen, I would think, is still in a struggle here, but it surely is not going to be too long before drivers are going to start coming in for dries. If the forecast is expected to be believed, as Mr. Grumpy...
Careful! Careful's round! He's reset the track as well, that's dangerous, but down as well, gone round there. Oh, what's happened? Oh, goodness me, Gareth spun again here. He was right behind his championship rival Dino as well. I think he might have hit him.
Yeah, and he may have hit him, and if he has raised set to the chart, that may be something for the stewards to look at as well, because you're not really supposed to use in the PSGL, to be quite honest with you. I don't necessarily like it myself, quite frankly. I think it's a form of cheat, but we'll leave that for the stewards to look at afterwards. As Joshy gets past NSR for 10th position. He's moved ahead of the Aston Martin. Luke's red behind in 12th, and Gareth Hall down to 14th place behind Clausen, who's on dries. Oh, Clausen spun! And nearly took Gareth Hall with him. How on earth he did not make contact with him, I do not know.
Wow. I mean, to be fair, what I was about to say, he didn't seem like he was struggling too badly, and then he just lost it. So thank God I didn't say that, because commentator's curse would have hit him badly. But yeah, Mr. Grump up into P2 now, so could he pose a challenge to speed quit out in front? My English went. My English completely went then.
Yeah. I know we're in Japan, but I didn't expect Clausen to be doing that kind of drifting on the racetrack until he just did that. So Mr. Grumpy in 2nd place behind Speaker now, and someone's gone off.
He's spun again.
He's spun again, hasn't he? So I think Clausen can admit that he is on the wrong tyres. He's taken the old pit entry there. Oh, he's cut across there, so that'll be a penalty coming his way, unfortunately. I want to feel...
He's unhittable. Oh, he didn't.
Yeah, so I think Clausen, with the penalties he's got and the fact he's way down the order, he's going to be out of the race. He is so that gamble did not pay off for him. Too soon for the slicks. And Lutz Red was also in the pits for another... I think he changed the front wing, didn't he?
Yeah. It's always worth a try though, but Flying Krat's on the back of Mr. Grumpy here, so could we see a lunge late? No. Mr. Grumpy's a wise old fox, he knows what he's doing. Still at the same top 3.
So Flying Krat got a slightly better drive coming out of the hairpin there. Mr. Grumpy in 2nd position. There's no change there going into Spoon, so we'll come away from that. I'm just looking at Jehofen, because he's done okay on the restart actually in the Williams. This is a better performance we've seen from him than in most races from the Williams driver. And he looks on course. Oh, he got a kick of oversteers. He got the power down coming out of Spoon, but he saved it. So Very well done there,
Oh,
Mr.
Mr. Grumpy,
Grumpy.
you don't want to be doing that. You don't want to be doing that often, Mr. Grumpy.
No, and that he's going to take a tighter line into the Cassia Triangle chicane. Flying Crack will get a better exit. Steve now has a time penalty for track limits. So, Steve, as it stands, will fall behind Sabetti and Dino. As Mr. Grumpy knows, he's in a good position to win this race now, because once the penalties are applied as it stands, he'll be the one taking his third victory of the season. The DRS has now been enabled, Jack.
It's still raining. What's
Yeah.
Michael Massey? It's still raining. Interesting.
Well, it's not raining much, but it is pretty much close to being to the point which it could well be time for the dries. It depends how quick the track decides to dry out here.
Yeah, but there's still raindrops falling to make the track wet, so I don't get that. So I get it's very light, and I guess it's basically spitting, but it's a sign quite bit of another penalty. But it's still raining to make the track wetter. But then again, maybe just to spice up the race even more.
And Gareth Hall getting past Dan there, so Gareth Hall making his way back through the field. He's got another 5 seconds to make up on Josh at the moment, who's battling with NSR for 10th place. And just look to see Dino, who's just taking a bit of a offline approach whilst he's behind Sabetti. So Dino, as it stands, will be extending his lead at the top of the championship over Gareth Hall to 19 points.
Who pits and who stays out? Should all stay out, really.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
It's too risky at the moment, so I think we're close to getting to that crossover point, but not quite so. Speakwin didn't get the best of exits coming out of the Casio Triangle chicane, though, and that's going to allow Mr. Grumpy to close in and be able to use the DRS. Here we go, look. Down the inside, and Mr. Grumpy is going to take the lead of the Japanese Grand Prix.
Yeah, that's all you need, really, is DRS and your throw. The straight isn't too long around here, the DRS straight, but you do... It's still powerful. The DRS is quite powerful around here, but yeah, good move into the P1. It's been quicker. Speakwin didn't get a best of exit through the Picasso Triangle chicane, and that's what happens.
The rain is still coming down, but only ever so just, as Mr. Grumpy looks to pull away here from Speakwin. He needs to do that as soon as he can, because otherwise Speakwin is going to have the DRS on the start-finish straight, and he'll probably go back through again, back through on him. As Jehovah gets past this strike. Oh, and that's Flycrat off. The Flycrat's lost a couple of positions by running wide at Degner. I was just going to say Istrite and Jehovin were tussling over 8th position. Jehovin's back behind him again. He may get a lunge on him at the hairpin.
Yeah, Flycrat making mistakes, getting penalties. You know, he hasn't been in this position all too often, and yeah, you can see why he's making a bit too many mistakes. Rookie mistakes as well. Sabetti's actually he's holding up Dino here, and a lot this rest of them behind him, so Gaffel could close up quite quickly.
One driver who's moved up as well is Sarking. He's in 3rd place, technically 2nd now, because of Speakwin's time penalty. So Speakwin needs to make sure he gets the DRS so that he doesn't allow Sarking go past him at a rate of knots. As Speakwin closes back in on Mr. Grumpy through the Casio Triangle chicane. And didn't quite get the exit he needed there, and so Mr. Grumpy can pretty much pull away with ease.
Yeah, 9/10 is the gap. We gained about a second on this lap, obviously with a bit of DRS it closes in a little bit. But 10 laps to go now, Tom. Very excited Grand Prix. Gaffel pits. Gaffel in the pits. Is this for a fresh set of fresh set of slick tyres? I believe they are soft compound tyres going on the car. Yes, it is.
And to be honest, he hasn't got anything to lose with where he is. He was in 11th place before he came into the pits. So Gareth Hall taking a gamble that isn't a gamble, to be quite honest with you. So can he gain all the time he can? I'm looking to see if the rain is still coming down. It is still at the moment, but
looks
the
dry.
track, yeah, it's leaning more towards dry than it is wet. So I don't actually blame Gareth Hall making that decision actually, because even though the rain is coming down, the track is dry.
He's gaining.
He's definitely gaining on Dan in front of him. So I think this is the time to be coming in for slicks.
He's gaining on the leaders as well. So yeah, maybe we'll see though, because obviously maybe some of the drivers still think it's raining and it's dry enough that Lennon's come in his box as well. So let's see. That's Mr. Grumpy box.
Yeah, I think if Mr. Grumpy wants to keep hold of the lead of the race, he needs to pit in.
I think he should just follow the leader at the moment. Just do whatever the leader does.
It's going to be such a busy...
Holy jeez! Sorry, flying quite just nearly tanked into the back of the stay. And Mr. Grumpy, does he come in? Yes.
Yes.
He does.
Speedquin stayed out, though. So do what the leader doesn't do. That must be going what went through his mind there. And Sabetti also following his teammate in, which is going to be bad news for him.
So Dino stays out because obviously he stays in the pits.
That's correct, yeah. So Dino up into second place, Jehovin staying out as well, which is a surprise because Garafol is nowhere near pit entry at the moment. He's got a penalty for running wide there. So Jehovin dished with a time penalty. Mr. Grumpy rejoins in 5th place on a set of the mediums, which is interesting. Is that the right side to be on?
Yes. I don't know if the soft will last, but potentially. But Gapple's in the points now.
He is. He's in 9th place at the moment, is Garafol, and on tyres that are fully up to temperature. He's got some clear track ahead of him.
And he'll be ahead of, I think when Dino pits, he'll be ahead of Dino because he's ahead of Sabetti.
Yeah. So, and he could even get in front of Speakwin if he's lucky enough, actually, is Garafol. Someone's gone off in sector 1. Who's that?
Dan. It's Dan.
It's Dan.
Yeah.
I was looking at the chat. I thought it was. I was looking at the track map and it looked like it was a full course yellow, but it's not. It's just Dan going around at turn 1. So nothing to worry about that one. And Gareth Hall now will be going at a rate of knots, and Dan has gone round again at the S's.
Struggling big time, but just thinking, Gareth Hall might be able to. Where is he? He's coming into Spoon, so. He's spun again, by the way. I don't know if he'll get
the mechanic's off! Lennon's crashed out at the Dunlop curve.
Ooh.
That may be enough to be our safety car. There we go, look.
It's safety car. Oh, Dino's just been handed an absolute lifeline. Gareth will not get him. Gareth must be absolutely seething right now. He might get him, actually, still. He still might get him, because Dino's going to get held up. Does Mr. Grumpy lead? Speedquin's been handed an absolute bonus, by the way. He's going to come out on P2. So... Oh, is he actually? Yes.
Yeah, he will do.
With Gaffel, he's coming down the back straight. He's absolutely... He's got Dino. He's got Dino. Gaffel's got Dino, and he's in P6. So the gamble... Dino on the medium compound tyres as well. So the gamble has paid off for Gaffel, and that is one way to get yourself back into the race.
Most certainly so, and he's got a chance of possibly going for a race victory if he keeps it up, as Speedquin is in second behind Mr. Grumpy now with the time penalty. So there are 6 drivers still left in this race with penalties, but Lennon's exit has forced the safety car to come out now, unfortunately. I would say it's going to be out there for a couple of laps. Nuxred back in the pits is going to go onto a set of softs, I would imagine, which he'll only lose 1 position, which is not too much of a worry for him. But at least he'll be on fresher tyres than the others.
Yeah. This gets interesting, because he had a very late safety car in Canada. This isn't as late as Canada, but this could still cause carnage, because it's a drying track, fresh softs, fresh mediums, push into the limit. Light fuel, we're going to see an absolute sprint, an F2 sprint race.
It is effectively an F2 sprint race now, isn't it? And this is very much anyone's game for the victory, even if you're on a 3-second time penalty, which is what Speedquin, Steve, Jehovin and Enesara got. It could really be anyone taking victory now. It really, really could be. So, but Mr. Grumpy is in prime position to win this race now. Sarking in 3rd place would finish 2nd if you were to apply the time penalties. And
I think Alpha will win this.
Do you think he will?
I think he will. I think because he's got... Okay, this may sound a bit stupid, but he's got a lap more experience than anyone else has on the soft tyres. I think, obviously, Mr. Grumpy being on medium compounds, he just needs to get really ahead of Sarking and he's won the race. So I don't think Mr. Grumpy will maintain pace with medium compound tyres.
What I would say is that with the track drying more and more and more, I think in terms of the knowledge of how much grip there actually is on the circuit remains as an unknown to the drivers. So this is why I think it could end up getting very, very messy. As Sabetti comes in, he decides to go onto the set of the soft compound tyres. which is actually a smart move for him. You want to be on the soft compound tyre now at this stage.
Yeah. You definitely, obviously. The original strategy is soft medium around here, I think. So, soft can last.
So Sabetti rejoins in 13th place. I was just looking at Sabetti's track record here at Suzuka. Last season, in season 28, in F12, finished outside the top 10. Season 27 in F11, he finished 7th. In season 26 in F11, he finished 3rd. He DNF'd in F6 in season 24, banned in season 23 in F7, just for that race at Suzuka. And in season 22 in F7, he finished 5th. So Sabetti hasn't had a bad record, to be quite honest with you, at Suzuka. Can he maybe get I mean, it's a long shot, but could he get a podium finish out of this? I don't know. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Sarking.
Oh,
now
Sarking. Wait, does that mean Stay's got one as well? Because usually both of them does.
Yeah. So that's good news for Gareth Hall as well, in regards to the championship.
And Dino.
And Dino, yeah. So Gareth Hall and Dino are going to gain massively through all this, providing they can keep their cars out of trouble. And I would think the safety car is going to come in this lap because Lutz Red will catch them up in time, no problem.
But also, I think Sarkin can get that removed because I think Stay hit him. So Sarkin can get that removed if he wants to, if he doesn't hit.
We'll leave that to the stewards either way. As Mr. Gompy prepares to go for the restart. It has been confirmed that the safety car will go in at the end of this lap. But there we go, look, the safety car is definitely coming in this lap. So we could be in for a 7-lap sprint to the checker flag here now, Jack.
Yep, this is going to be very interesting. This is edge of your seat stuff. Hopefully it isn't as dramatic as Canada because I lost my voice that day. But here we go. Mr. Grumpy will get us going as the Aston Martin safety car peels away and he restarts. And it's a good restart because Speaker's been caught napping, which means he could open Sarking and maybe potentially stay to get a slipstream. But Speaker's good, about 2 tenths behind now. He's got a monster run on Mr. Grumpy. The straight on speed was insane there. Mr. Grumpy's going to hang on. Oh, bit of contact there, mate. Mr. Grumpy runs wide. Could that and Sarking? No, it doesn't. Mr. Grumpy stays within 9 tenths. So I think he's got a bit of front wing damage. Yes, he does.
Yeah, Mr. Grumpy looks like he's. Yeah, there's front. Yeah, it's on the left-hand side there. Look, so Mr. Grumpy absolutely struggling. He didn't need that. That was the worst possible scenario on the second race. And Josh has gone round and resets track as well. So that'll be a penalty coming his way. And looks like Gareth Hall is going toe-to-toe with Dino there. And it really is kicking off now. Yeah, this is really kicking off now. Speakwin's pulling away, look. He's already 3 seconds clear of Mr. Grumpy, so Speakwin back in play for the race victory.
They hit each other! They hit each other! Dino and Careful hit each other. I don't think there's any damage, but wow. This is kicking off.
It really is. And there's no DRS for the first 2 laps of the restart either, so they're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way.
Oh, whoa, what's happened to NSR? He's out. He must have hit someone.
Yeah, he's gone off just before Spoon, and I'm not sure if that's going to be enough to be at the safety car, to be honest with you, but we'll wait and see. As Sarking desperately needing to get in front of Mr. Grumpy here. He needs to do it before he gets caught up in... No, he won't do it through 130R. See, we'll be waiting. Oh, there's contact! That's the Alfa Romeo! Oh, they luckily caught it in time, those guys. That could have so easily been a wild accident coming out of 130R. Speaker with Manu Foster, Mr. Grumpy in the pits, and wisely so.
Yeah, he held up the whole grid. He's basically won the race for Speedquin, and I think Speedquin must be fan can hear him in his helmet in the cockpit. But I cannot believe Gareth and Dino kind of hit each other. It wasn't massive as I made it out today. I just saw him tank it into him. I was like, oh no. But yeah, we've got a race on our hands now.
We do.
Stark's actually gaining quite considerably.
Yeah, Dino up to 4th place then. Joe Hofen gets in front of his teammate Gareth Hall, who is struggling. Yeah. He looks like he's got damage. He doesn't look like he's got damage to the front wing. I don't know whether he's got side pod damage or something as Gareth Hall.
I think he's got damage, but it's obviously one of those where it's not visual. And, I thought it was a full course. Oh, Grumpy's round. He's spun it.
And Dan's off into the gravel truck. Dino gets a time penalty. So it's all gone badly wrong for the Alpine team, it has to be said. Sebastian getting in front of the Alpha Tauri. And just looking to see who... And now the top 6 all have a time penalty to their name. Now, as it stands, Speakman will still come out as the race winner in this one. He needs to make sure he still remains more than 3 seconds ahead.
Yeah, this is gutting for Gareth because he probably knows that Dino's got penalty now as well. Here we go then. 4.6 seconds is the gap. So, without making a remarkable mistake, Speaker, and you've won this race. So, keep it calm, keep it consistent, and you should be winning. But, commentator's curse. And obviously me saying Gareth would win this race has probably put a curse on him, to be fair.
And look at this, Spinecrat's mood in front of Dino. So Dino down to 5th place behind the Alfa Romeo. Sarkin with a new fastest lap. That could help him catch Speedquin in front. The DRS has now been enabled, but they won't be able to use that until next time round. So they'll have to make do without that for the time being. Steve in 3rd place behind Sarkin on the road. And Steve needs to get on with this really, because he's going to end up losing a few positions with the penalty he's got. And should Sarkin's penalty be removed, if he should he remain within 5 seconds of Speedquin or get to within 3 seconds, he could win this one.
Oh, Luke's red spun, by the way. And so I think Luke's red and Sabetti had a bit of an issue because I think Sabetti's got wing damage. Yeah, and more spinning in this Japanese Grand Prix.
Yeah, you can see all the gravel marks on the racetrack, tyre marks as well, everywhere. Everywhere you look, it's been that competitive of a Grand Prix here. As Steve approaches the Haas of Sarkin once more. He needs to get this moved on here, doesn't he?
Yes, he definitely does. You know, the Haas is slower than him, but is he going to use all of the DRS? Sarkin's not defending because he's got 20% DRS. Stay has 50. If he's wise here, Stay, he's quite experienced. He should know that he should wait until the DRS zone.
And this tries out of the race.
NSR, oh not NSR, it's try, sorry, yeah. Where's he crashed out? Did he crash a spoon? Yes, he has.
Yeah,
Gaff was holding the whole pack up to there.
Yeah, he's holding up Dan,
Okay.
he's holding up Sabetti, he's holding up Josh. Steve's through. So Steve gets past Sarkin. I think Sarkin knew he was going to get him on the straight anyway, but Steve goes past and into 2nd position.
3 laps to gain 4.5 seconds. Could it be done? Maybe. I doubt it will be, but Steve's going for potentially, if he gets his 5 seconds stop go removed, he could be going for, is that Juho Finnas round? Yes, it is.
Oh, that's a terrible shame for Jehovan. He was running in 6th place as well, and non-cost for a good haul of points.
Josh
He's
is
all the way.
now, by the way.
And Josh is in the barrier, and he's reset to track again. So that's twice he's done that in this race, unfortunately. And yeah, that could well be the end of the race for him. He needs to make sure he keeps his standings in check, which he doesn't do, and that could bring out the safety car, couldn't it?
Yeah, it's 20 lap 24. I doubt it will. But it should do usually. But I'm just saying, Stay's gained a second, potentially more on this lap. He's a lot quicker than Speedquin, and if he gets that 5 second stop go and moves, which he probably should, because he did tank, he wasn't a major collision. He will win this race.
He should do.
If he gets the pace on, but he might be using a lot of DRS. I don't think Speedquin is really pushing, to be fair. So we'll see.
And Mr. Grumpy in 11th place at the moment now, thanks to Josh's retirement and his tries as well. But I'm not impressed one bit with Josh's driving there, and that was just totally needless. He knows he got 6 penalty points in the last round for collisions involving other drivers, and yet he's just gone and made that. Resets into track twice, and completely crashing out on purpose, and that to me just makes a mockery out of the PSGL, unfortunately. You know, it makes me livid, quite frankly.
I don't blame you, Tom. It is F13, but you're not putting it may be F13, so maybe some people might not see it, but the stewards definitely see it. And at the end of the day, it's just putting the league in a bad name. And this is probably the biggest PS4/PS5 PlayStation league out there. So people are going to go, people crash out on purpose in that league. You don't want that. You want good, clean racing, and PSGL promotes that. It is good, clean racing. I get we've had 9 or 8 retirements this race. That's because it was interchangeable conditions. You know, it's the bottom tier. You're going to have the retirements, but if you look at PC F1 or PlayStation F1, sorry, you're going to see that the racing is clean. Or up until F10, my league, the racing is fairly clean. So it is a clean league. It is a shame that some drivers do ruin the limelight. But then again, Josh isn't a dirty driver. He isn't like that. He just probably saw a bit of red mist and thought, screw it, I'm retiring. So there you go.
Yeah, well, there's definitely going to be some punishment coming his way. He is already on 6 penalty points. It's 10 for a race ban. So it could well be that the fact he crashed out deliberately. Oh, Sabetti makes contact with Gareth Wolf. Luckily, Sabetti was able to avoid him. Oh no, so Dan was able to avoid him. Sabetti spinning round.
Yeah, Gareth will still in P6. That should be P7 max minimum. So not too bad, but Stay's lost a bit of time now. I think his tyres are gone. I think Speakman's going to win this race. Hopefully. Or for his sake.
Yeah, Dan's in 7th place behind Gareth Hall. He's more than long enough, I think, ahead of... Oh, no, he's not. Yeah, he is long enough at the moment ahead of Lutzered, but Lutzered's gaining on him at the moment. So Lutzered on course for points. Jehoven getting on course to get a couple of points as well, but it could so easily have been more for him. But he's closing in, actually, on Lutzered, so this could be a change of position down into turn 1. Here we go, look. Jehoven making an overtake, and there we go, look. Down the inside of the Ferrari.
Yeah, good. Had more pace, has less penalties, so he's just going to push and push and push now to get 6 seconds and close him on Dan. I was saying that Dino's just had a moment in Degna 2.
Yeah, he's dropped back from Flying Carrot has Dino, so he's on course for 5th place, but at least he'll be extending his lead at the top of the championship over his rival Gareth Hall. The fastest up of the race is Mr. Grumpy, but he's outside the top 10 at the moment, so he would not get that point. Having said that, he's right behind... Oh, he's lost it, hasn't he? He's got no wing, so that's the end of it then for Mr. Grumpy, I'm afraid. So that he will not be scoring any points. Please don't do what Josh did earlier, which he doesn't do through Degna.
I'm just thinking, like, does Stay go above Gareth Hall in the championship now? If he finishes like this, if he obviously gets his penalty removed as well, because he will jump down to P4, but if he gets his penalty removed and goes to P2,
yeah, no,
does he go above?
No, it was 11 points behind Gareth Hall going into this event, so no, he wouldn't move in front of Gareth Hall as it stands. But we are now on the final lap, Jack, and it's been another entertaining one, different to what we've seen in a lot of the other races we've been commentating on. But Speakman, you just can't complain. But having said that, should the penalty of Sarking get removed, he could be retrospectively the race winner of the Japanese Grand Prix in F13.
Yeah, he's got to gain 1.3 seconds, Sarking. But if he does get removed, Speakman, that could be a warning, you know. So that could potentially, if he could be living on the edge a little bit, as Mr. Grumpy expect him to retire from the Grand Prix. Yeah, Speakman's drove like a person who's won every single race today. I think he's led practically every single lap. He's not come under pressure. He's not made mistakes like he did in China. You know, he's kept it consistent. He's kept it calm. Sarking is pushing as hard as he possibly can to get that. But it has been a great drive from Speakman, and he should win this race. He's probably going to win this race.
Yeah, he's going to win it on the road. And to be honest, if Speakman does get given the race victory, I think he deserves it because, you know, putting his car on pole position and leading a lot of the race, I don't think I could have picked a more deserved winner out of this one than him. Here he comes then into the Casio Triangle chicane for the last time. Speakman, for the time being at least anyway, depending on penalties being dished out by the stewards afterwards, Speakman exits the last turn to win the Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka in F13 of the PSGL. Very well done to him. Steve crosses the line, second on the road, but it's Sarking who goes to second place. Very well done to him. Steve is down to third, Flying Crack fourth. Dino is fifth from the back of the grid. Gareth Hall will only be sixth, which I don't think he'll be too pleased with that, to be honest with you. But it is what it is, unfortunately. So he comes home sixth. Dan will be seventh. He may follow behind Jehoven, actually. I think he will do. So Jehoven will go to P7. Very well done to him. I think that's his best result in a long time. Lutzer had 8th. So Dan down to 9th. So Betty 10th. And Mr. Grumpy will be the last of the finishers home in 11th place. He will not get the fastest lap point because he's finished outside the top 10. But it's Speakman who is the winner here in Japan. And I think with Sarking finishing second, so even if he had that 5-second time penalty removed, Speakman would still win this one. So yeah, so Speakman is the winner of the Japanese Grand Prix no matter what.
Yeah, what a drive from Speakman. Drove very consistent, and Mercedes is back winning for the first time since Clausen, I think, in Monza. So good drive. I think he definitely deserved it. He wins his first race this season. And he puts his finger up, fist pumps the air, says, I'm the number one, I've won this race, it's my time to shine.
Most definitely so, and I think, I'm just trying to see if Speakman's won before in the PSGL, because the only other season he's been competing in, I think, was it in season 28 he was competing in? I'm not 100% sure, but I'll have to have a look at... I don't think he has, actually, so it is his first victory in the PSGL, so very well done to Speakman on getting that victory. The driver celebrates on the podium with Speakman. Sarking, what a brilliant drive to get himself up into second place. His best result of the season, first podium of the in his PSGL career. So your final race results see Speed Queen come out on top with Sarking in second place. Steve is third, and Flying Carrot in fourth. Dino fifth, ahead of Gareth Hall in sixth. Jehovin seventh, but very well done to him. Luke's Red eighth, Dan ninth, and Sabetti collecting the last point in 10th place. Mr. Grumpy, the last of the finishes in 11th. He set the fast start, but doesn't get the point for it. Josh crashed out and will be under investigation for sure. Istrai also retired. NSR, Lennon, Clausen, Whipkiller, Odd53Mo, Gerber, and Dion Knoll also didn't make it to the end of the race. In regards to the championship, well, Dino has only extended it by a point. It's a gap of 16 points, the equivalent of a race victory.
Yep. Swoopin collects his first ever 16 points in the championship. It's better a win. I think it's his first podium for a little while as well, to be fair. So, good drive. I mean, Gaffel must be seething in his boots. He done the perfect gamble. He's up into P5 and he got damaged because he hit his championship rival. 2 weeks in a row now he's hit someone that he didn't need to. He's probably going to finish ahead of him. So, at the end of the day, this is a learning curve. I think this is Gareth one of his first seasons. He's a learning curve in league racing. You've got to learn, and title fights are the way to learn. If you're involved in a title battle, you do learn a lot. I can say that from experience myself, as well. So, you know, he will be learning along the way as well as battling the championship. Dino has been involved in the FP League when it was around. He's quite experienced in PSGL, quite well known in PSGL. So he should know what he's doing. But yeah, it was a good race, Tom.
Yeah, good race indeed. That's not all of the PSGL action for tonight. There is the F12 event that's just begun, I think, about 20 minutes ago. I think they're about to start their race now. So if you are going to watch it, do make sure you stay involved in the PSGL and watch it. We've had the PCF1 race tonight. So on Sunday, we've got F9, 10, and 11 PlayStation at either 7 or 8 p.m. GMT it will be, because we moved the clocks back an hour this weekend. Don't forget, Jack. So do make sure you change your hours. And on Monday, we've got F1 to 8 for PlayStation at either 7 or 8 p.m. So a lot of action to look forward to. And the next round after Japan will be in 2 weeks' time in Mexico City. So another week's off because of the Mexico City Grand Prix on that weekend. So it'll be another couple of weeks before you join me in the commentary box again, Jack. So I know it's going to be quite some time before we do some commentary. But to be honest, it'll be worth the wait. So I can't wait for it. So thank you to everyone that's been tuning in. Do make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And thank you very much for being involved in the live chat as well. Hopefully it's been respectful in terms of the stuff that's been posted in there. And we can't wait to do it again in 2 weeks' time. 7 p.m. GMT it is for when we do race in Mexico City. I'm Tom Cairns, he's Jack Tyler, and we'll speak to you again soon when the PSGL returns.